Today's Sunday and it's market day in Valldemossa, so we've headed up into the Tramontana Mountains and we're going to have a look around Valldemossa, but also to have a look to see what the market's like here. We went to a market yesterday which was a bit disappointing in Santa Eugenia, partly because of the COVID. They've suffered a lot, so I'm wondering how that's affected the market here in Valldemossa. So we're going to head up the road and have a look. Valdemossa is a small village up in the mountains, and it's very popular with tourists. It's very popular with residents, and that means that parking is an issue. And on a Sunday they use one of the car parks for the market. So as we drove in, we came to the first car park. And that was full. The cars were going in and out, so I suppose we could have waited there a while and found a spot. But we decided to move on and drive through the village. And if you drive through the village, we did find some street parking. So it's a little bit of a walk to get in. And I imagine that in the summer it could be a little bit warm to do this walk. It's a little bit uphill, but the trees here not particularly providing any shade at the moment, but certainly in the summertime they will. These are the plane trees, have I got that right? Yes. Yeah, the plane trees, which we have quite a lot of here in Mallorca. So a little bit of a walk up. We'll catch up as we enter the village. Well, we've just done our short walk, a little bit uphill, and we're just approaching now the village. So we'll cross over here and head off into the village, find the market and see what's on offer. The sun's shining, we're in the mountains. We've had some fantastic weather over the last week or so. We did have a cool day yesterday. We got this tail end of a storm that's battered the UK. Storm Eustace, was it? Anyway, it's Eunice. Something like that. Anyway, the storm passed over the UK and caused lots of damage, and I hope you all survived it. And the tip of the tail went over Spain, and I think we got a little bit of it yesterday. It was very windy and it was a little bit cloudy, but today clouds have disappeared and the sun is shining and the temperature's gone up again a little bit. We're in the mountains, in the Tramontana Mountains of Mallorca on the west coast, and it's always going to be a degree or two cooler up here than it is down by the sea where we live in Palma. So a little bit cooler up here, but still very pleasant and perfect for a little walk around. Tables and chairs are all out around the cafes. Time is just 10 to 12. Shops are open as it's a market day, and it's a very tourist area anyway, and even in the winter months. Valdemossa is, under normal circumstances, quite a tourist attraction. People will come here and look at the beautiful village. Well, again, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the market. I think probably in normal times this car park would actually be full of stalls and not cars. There's no cars today, but not a lot of stalls. Not as bad as yesterday, where we had 3 stalls in a playground. Here we've just got a few more typical sorts of things as well, fruit and veg, sausages. I'm not sure we're actually going to be buying anything today. I'm back to work tomorrow. Anita's looking after the grandchildren tomorrow. It's always nice to see what these markets are like. And my anticipation would be that come the summer months, this will be a much busier place to be. As I did buy, she bought some tulips yesterday, and she actually bought 2 roses as well to plant in the garden, and I think she got a good deal there. Some beautiful plants here too, beautiful colours.
Same man from the other market.
Pardon?
Same man from the other market.
It's the same man we met actually yesterday. I wonder if he's put his prices up for Valdemossa. Valdemossa is quite a rich area in Palma. If you fancy buying a house here, it'll cost you a little bit more than it'll cost you in many other places on the island. Someone was asking me about hotels and places to stay in Valdemossa. No big hotels as such, more the smaller agro-turismo type hotels. And he said his wife fancies coming up here. It's a beautiful place to stay, but it will cost you more than other parts of the island. I was looking at an agro-tourism chalet villa to stay in just before I came out. Admittedly, it was a 3-bedroom villa with a swimming pool, so you pay a little bit more, but for 5 days at the beginning of March, they wanted over 3,000 euros, which I thought was a lot for out of season and for only five nights. Not that I'll be doing that, but it was just interesting to see what the prices were. So what we do now is we'll cross the road here, and all in front of us now is the village of Valldemossa. Actually, we need to go this way, don't we, to cross over? It is a pretty and well looked after village. And during the lockdown we came a couple of times, and we were almost the only people here, so it was quite a strange place to walk through with no people in the streets. It's a little bit busier now. It's only February, 20th of February 2022, and we're almost out of our restrictions. People were asking me again about what about masks. Well, you don't have to wear them in the streets, but you see as we walk around, some people simply choose to wear them, and others don't. If you're in the street, you don't need to wear them. If you go into a shop, or you go into a bar, or you go into a hotel or restaurant, and as soon as you go inside, you need to wear the mask. But obviously, if you're sitting down, you're going to have a beer, coffee, then you don't need to put the mask on. Almost got a lot of artisan type shops, places where they make things and sell them. So these bags here are made out of the local fabric design, traditionally in blue, but now they've ventured out to all sorts of colours, and very, very traditional. So it looks as though there's quite a lot of work going on here. It's the sort of thing they do in the winter time. Oh dear. Dig up the road. And there they are. Dug up the road, but dug it up. They've laid some pike by the looks of things, and It's all now being filled in, so they're at the filling in stage, which means it's going to be a mess for another week or two. But all completed, I would hope, by Easter, when the bulk of the tourists arrive. Imagine the local businesses are not too happy about this, the amount of dust that it creates and dirt. Still busy. Oh, just a little bit further on we can see that they've dug quite a deep trench in order to lay these pipes, and I'm glad I'm not here while they're actually working, because they use these jackhammers that just pound and pound away. It must be terrible. Put that over there. And when these jackhammers are operating, they make the whole area vibrate. And if you live in an old house like we do, the vibrations can cause cracks. We have to walk all the way around. They've taken up the stones carefully. It looks as though they've laid them all out here, and they'll be putting these stones back so that the character of the village doesn't change, which is good. So if you come again in the summer, I'm guessing it will all be nice and clear. So we're going to avoid that. We will go back up there a bit later on behind us, but we're going to avoid it for the moment because I'll just go up here and just show you some of the lovely streets. That is what Valdemossa is famous for. I said that it is a really well-kept village, and that's down partly to the council, but partly to the citizens, the people who actually live here, look after their homes, and they look after the street. Got some lovely plants outside. These are put there by the people who live here, and they're narrow streets, so they're not really meant for cars, though the locals will be allowed to drive into their garages. What Valldemossa is really famous for is its monastery, and that's behind us now. So we will we'll make our way down to the monastery, up to the monastery from here in a while. We have visited before, so we won't be going in today, and it has been closed for a while, but I believe it's now open. If it hasn't already opened, it'll be opening very, very shortly. And it's where Chopin and George Sand came to spend the infamous winter in Mallorca.
1838.
In 1838, my reliable...
I think. Maybe not.
And obviously there was not the easy transport that we have nowadays, so they would have arrived in Palma by boat, and they would have had to make their way up to Valdemossa by a horse and trap along very bumpy dirt tracks. And Chopin particularly wanted to stay here for his health, helping with his health, and it was one of those winters which did nothing of the kind. It was one of the winters that really played on his health, and he suffered, and I don't think he had too great a time while he was here, though he did write some beautiful music,
Raindrop Prelude,
including the Raindrop Prelude. I'll have to get Anita to play that for you one day on the piano. We'll put that up on our YouTube channel. But we did visit, and there is a video, if you look through the interesting places of Mallorca on our videos, you'll find the one which actually goes through the museum and also the monastery, and particularly the cell. They call them cells, don't they? It's where Chopin actually stayed. And he obviously intended to be here for a while because he had a piano specially brought over in order to continue with his compositions. So as you can see, there are some cars that pass through here, but it's not really made for cars. Some of the roads are a little bit small. We're actually walking down, which means in a few moments we'll get to the bottom of here and we'll have to walk back up.
It's famous for Santa Catalina Thomas as well.
Yeah, it's very famous. So on the walls we've got these plaques for Santa Catalina. And you'll see those dotted around the village, outside the houses, these tiles. Really pretty. There's another one. And they're all different little works of art. Bakers there, queue outside. Another plaque for Santa Catalina Thomas. The road opens out. We'll go, I think, to the right. It's a really pretty drive up from Palma as you get up into the mountains. It's a windy road that takes you up into Valldemossa, and particularly at this time of the year, and actually for the next few months, there will be lots and lots of cyclists. So if you are driving up, then do be prepared to be behind a cyclist or two or three or four, and they do slow you down a little bit. Church. I'm not actually going to go into the church because it is a Sunday and they will be having a service on. But what I do notice here is, what I've not noticed before, is the birth house of Santa Catalina Thomas, just down there. Again, it is a Sunday, so we may give that a rest, and we'll actually try and visit that, I think, sometime in the future. We just walked up a little bit now from where we were down by the church there, and we come to this petite hotel, the Valldemossa, little hotel here, and has got fantastic views over the valley looking down towards Palma. So we just walk a little bit further, we'll be able to appreciate some of those views. So look over the wall here, and that little petite hotel. Those are the views. A room on the front there, you'll be looking down into the valley, which winds down onto the plains and then down into Palma. So we actually drove up through that valley. And then just to the right, we've got the main village, we've got the monastery and the church. And then we're going to head up this road. It's a really, really pretty village, and fortunately being changed little by time, which is why it's particularly good to see that as they're digging up the road, they're taking up these old stones that are on the floor, and they're going to put them back. Hopefully a little bit smoother, a little bit flatter than they are.
Mario al pobre chico hasta que la atrás.
Let's look at the wine. How does that surprise me? I'll just walk a little bit further. So we just walked back up the hill now towards where the roadworks are, so right in front now. Just to the right we've got the area where the roadworks are. Lots of people sunning themselves, having a coffee or a beer. Guess it's getting nearly time for us. I'll just wait here for Anita, I think. Here's Anita, she's not bought a bottle of wine. What I've just noticed though here is this sign, which is really quite nice. This is a really old looking sign telling me that this is the way to Palma, and the sign below it simply says that it's the old road to Palma. So that road winds its way down into Palma, so maybe that would have been the road that Chopin would have come up, and this is where he would have entered the village. No, I don't think there, well, there would have been a road. It would have been more of a dirt track than a road though in those particular days. So the cafe on the right is Cappuccino. A lot of them have closed down, a lot of the cappuccinos that we used to know. But that one is open. I'm just going to walk down this little road. One that we've walked down many times before. Nice little cul-de-sac. It just comes to an end. But, the end is worth walking to, simply to look over the views. And as we walk along, there are a couple of little shops here. I'm always looking at the fruit and vegetables and herbs here. Most of these, if not all of them, will be locally grown. And they do homemade sobrasada. I do like sobrasada, it just doesn't like me too much. Sobrasadas are very typical Mallorquin sausagey type meat.
Black pudding.
Similar to black pudding. And I have it on toast, particularly when I go to some of my favourite restaurants, and you rub the toast with some garlic oil, if you like it, some olive oil and tomato, and then add a little sobrasada and it's magic. But the way that they do the sobrasada, the way that I do the sobrasada is to cook it. I find that many Mallorquins disagree with me on this point, and they don't cook it. They simply spread it with their special sobrasada knives directly onto the bread or directly onto the toast and have it for breakfast. I must say I much prefer it when I've cooked it. And when I've cooked it, I sometimes add a little honey. Adds a little sweetness to it. A really tasty dish. So here you can see there's already quite a few people who've come down to this point simply because it's just got this magic view looking down into the valley. The road below us is actually this road that we just looked at, which is the old road that goes down into Palma. And over in the distance we can see the new road, which is the one that goes up there. You see the cars driving up, buses. It's a narrow road, so if you get the cyclists or the tourist buses or even the local buses, then everything gets slowed down. And all during last year the road was dug up, so there were traffic lights stopping cars in one direction. But it's worth it. Once you get up to Valldemossa, it is quite a magical place. So we're going to head back into the village now. Let's see how popular this area is. There's one cafe open, and then it's usually a restaurant open on the side here. You can have yourself a meal there. It doesn't look as though they're open at this time of the year, so they will be opening up again soon, I'm sure. A shop here that sells flor de sal, and we were there just a few weeks ago. I did actually a video. Flor de sal, it's the salt pans of the Estrenc area. Ses Salines. Footway here is really uneven. Nice to get back onto something a little more even. This is the road we just come up, so we're just going back down. And, for some reason they look a little bit different as you're going in the opposite direction. So we're heading now towards Cappuccino, which is right in front of us. I will eventually put this up as a 360 video, but they do take quite a while to get processed, so you need to be patient for that. There are lots and lots of cafes and restaurants here, and we've noticed that one or two are not open, but a lot of them will be open now. And as we get back towards more normality and the season opens, then you'll see more and more of these restaurants open. It gets really busy, particularly Sunday lunchtime, because it's a traditional time for families to come out and to eat together. So you'll see, it's not uncommon to see tables with 5, 10, 15 people sitting at it, and it's all just the same family all out for their Sunday lunch. And this is just going into another little shop there. We're just entering the square here, which is by the church. And we've eaten at a couple of the restaurants here, and always have a good meal. And Valldemossa is the ice cream shop, not open yet. Actually did some work for them a few years ago. And just in front where you get your tickets to go into the museum and to go into the monastery, that doesn't actually look to be open, at least that ticket office isn't open. So I'm guessing that if they are open, I will take a little walk up there and see some tables and chairs, but the restaurants here are not open yet. So once you've bought your tickets, you'd normally come here and enter either the museum, which is directly in front, or to the right is the monastery, neither of which are actually open today. I did read in the Mallorca Daily Bulletin that they are actually both due to open very, very soon. And you have to pay a little bit extra if you want to go into the Chopin Museum, the Chopin cell. So you can go into the main part of the monastery, but if you want to go into the specific part that is where Chopin stayed, you have to pay a little bit extra. So there's Sunday closed, and today is Sunday, so I'm not sure if it is open in the week. Just before we leave, I've just noticed something else. Being British, I have always associated the bagpipes with Scotland. But bagpipes are very, very popular here in Mallorca. It's a very Mallorquin instrument, and this little display here is centered around one of the pipers in the typical Mallorquin costume. Anita's coming to join me. I'm not carrying any bags of shopping, so I think we've got away lightly so far. Nothing for you? Lots of things there. All right. So, shall we look for a coffee?
Yes.
I think that sounds like a really good idea. Just find a place to have a coffee. Yeah. So we have actually eaten at this Palma in the past. I think we're happy before, so we'll try it again. We just stopped at the cafeteria Can Molinas, and we're just going to have a coffee and perhaps a bite to eat as well. We're going to a football match later on this afternoon, or at least we're going to watch a football match. It's an away match, so we'll be watching it at the Mallorca Cafe later on this afternoon. Important match against Real Betis, is going to be a tough one. So we'll cheers, and we'll catch up in a moment. Well, we've had a coffee, and we've decided we're going to stay for a bite to eat as well. So another drink, not coffee this time. And we just met a lovely couple from Preston in the UK, Leslie and Pete, and they're here on holiday for a week, and they've just gone off for a nice walk here in the hills of Valldemossa. So hope they enjoy the rest of their holiday, and we're hopefully going to enjoy our lunch. What are we having?
We're having lomo con tumbit.
Sounds good to me. I'll show you when it comes. So this is the pork loin with tumbit. Tumbit is vegetables fried in a tomato sauce, and it's their plateau del dia. It's a plateau of the day, which is €9.90, and it includes a drink. So I've had a shandy, which has had a glass of wine. It also includes a coffee as well. €9.90, can't go wrong. Well, it was a small meal, but really you can't really complain at that, can you? We started off, we had 2 coffees, we had the menu which was €9.90 and the total bill €23.60, and that'll keep us going for the rest of the day until we go out for the match this evening. We're going to carry on our walk now, and we're going to go this way. There's a little bit of a breeze here, and Anita just noted as you're out of the sun it does actually feel quite cool. And just received some disturbing news, is that the Queen Elizabeth, has contracted COVID. So we wish her well. Both Charles and Camilla were diagnosed, tested positive last week, and sadly the Queen has now. So certainly hope that she gets over it. And apparently it's only mild symptoms at the moment, and I guess she's been double, triple vaccinated, whatever it is. And we come this way just so that we can have a little look in the gardens here. We were in the gardens of Marivent Palace, the King's summer residence, just a couple of days ago, and they were very nicely manicured, and the gardens here are always equally well manicured. And I've been here before, no roses out yet. Oh yes, maybe. Very narrow walkways. It's, we'll just go down this one. It's a little bit like walking through a maze, but it's not a maze. We're actually going to be heading back towards the car now. We've had a nice walk around Valldemossa. It's starting to feel a little chilly because we're in the shade, but if you come to Valldemossa, I think what you have to do is pay your respects to Chopin. So here we are. Come on. So that's it from us. We've had a lovely time here in Valldemossa. Really nice, very cheap meal.
Met some really nice people.
Met some really nice people there, and we're going to go off home now so we can watch the football match later on this afternoon. Thanks very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. So bye for now.
Bye.